Hello everyone. Today we are making Mexican hominy casserole. And these are the ingredients. We've got chili powder, cumin, Tostitos nacho cheese, con queso, 2 cans of rotel, salt and pepper, 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 2 cans of white hominy, and 1 can of gold hominy. You can use whatever color hominy you want, and you can use 2 cans instead of 3 if you want. And then we have the Colby Jack cheese and the extra sharp cheddar cheese. And I have a whole medium-sized white onion chopped up and 3 cloves of garlic. And this is one of those deals that it's all going to just be one pot that we're using. So I'm going to start with the onions and garlic and ground beef. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You're going to use olive oil to cook your onions and garlic and ground beef in. Okay, and you always want to get your oil hot before you put anything in. And the first thing that should go in is the onions. And as soon as the onions are translucent, you want to put your garlic in. Cook it for a minute and then put your ground beef in and brown it up. And while that's happening, I'm going to rinse my hominy off. I got this strainer, I'm going to rinse it in. You always want to rinse your canned vegetables. You never want to use the juice that comes with them. It's really gross. The juice that comes in canned vegetables is strictly preservatives, strictly for the purpose of preserving it. You're not supposed to cook with it. It's not food. And also, I only use fresh garlic. I never buy that already minced garlic from the grocery store because they preserve it with vinegar, which completely changes the taste of the garlic. And to cook the onions and garlic, you also want to keep it on like a medium heat. But when you put the ground beef in, you can turn it up to high. And I've got white onion. You could also use yellow onion, but you never, ever, ever, ever use red onion in Mexican food or Latino food at all. Whether it's cooking with them or whether it's making like pico de gallo or salsa, you never use red onions in Latino food. You can use green onions, white onions, or yellow onions. Now, what temperature you cook your ground beef at is going to depend on whether or not you're going to walk away from it or not. If you're not going to walk away and you're going to stay there, you can put it on high and keep stirring it the whole time until it's done. If you know you're going to have to walk away from it, keep it on a lower heat. And there's really not enough juice in my meat to need to drain it at all. There's just like a tiny bit of water. That's not a big deal. But if there's a lot of grease and water in your meat, go ahead and drain it into one of your empty hominy cans. So since my meat is brown now, I can add everything else. All of these other ingredients. Except for the cheese. I don't add that cheese until last. But this cheese is my secret ingredient for this. This is what makes it really creamy and cheesy and flavorful. So it brings the whole thing together. Oh, and I'm only using half of this jar, by the way. So it would be a whole small one or a half of a big one like that. And you can pretty much use any type of queso you want. You don't have to use that kind of queso. Any liquidy nacho cheese type stuff will work. Okay, and I put about a tablespoon of chili powder in, about 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, about 1 teaspoon of salt, maybe a little more, and like 1 tablespoon of pepper. I love pepper. There's never enough pepper in anything for me. Oh, and in case you've never tasted hominy before, it looks like fat pieces of corn, but it doesn't taste anything like corn. It tastes like fat white rice. Fat, puffy white rice. It's really good. And after I've gotten all the ingredients in, I basically turn it on low, let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then I put about half of each of these packages of cheese on top. And I put the lid on and let it melt. And you can eat it whenever you want after that. You can let it sit there. This is a really low maintenance meal. These are all the dishes I use to make it besides the pot that the stuff is in on the stove. All the dishes underneath that cutting board was from earlier today. So just the cutting board and everything on top of it is all I used, plus the pot. And also, if you don't like the idea of hominy, you can do the exact same recipe with regular white rice, minute rice, or whatever kind of rice you like. And here's the final product after all the cheese is melted. You could also go one more step further and crush up a whole bunch of fire Cheetos and then sprinkle those in there for more flavor and crunch if you want. But I'm not going to do that because I don't have a gallbladder and it irritates my stomach. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.